Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So if you haven't already submitted the reflection worksheet, quite a few of you did last week during class. So, but if you haven't, try to get that in so that I can take a look at it. And you should have today brought an article that you were choosing to use for the op-ed. Remember, I asked you to have one prepared for class today. So there is a forum here, and I may have you guys do the forum next class. Let me see how this will work out. But because what I wanted you to do was to post the link in the forum so that you could easily share it with your classmates, but actually have a regular conversation as opposed to using the forum to respond to your peers, because I know you guys like talking more than typing. So that was the plan initially, but if you do have it, it would be great for you to go ahead and put that article into this forum. So you can go ahead and do that now. And if you haven't submitted the reflection worksheet, submit that now, and then go ahead and put a link to your article in the forum. Okay, is everybody ready to move on? Have you submitted that link?
I haven't submitted mine yet.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
I posted mine.
okay.
I'm gonna submit mine when I get home.
Okay, Xavier, you're driving, so be careful. Okay, well, I'll try to have us work on that a little bit, maybe during next class when everybody's together, and it'll be easier to have a conversation anyway. So we're gonna look at a video about determining if your source is credible. And then we're gonna look at an article together in class. I'll have you read it silently. And then we're gonna go over the different ways of figuring out whether or not the source you've chosen is a strong, reliable, credible source, okay? Because that's a really important aspect of using research in an essay, is making sure that what you're using is actually credible and relevant and current and all of that. Depending on your topic, sometimes things change, right? There, especially if it happened to be something that had to do with science, it's possible that things would have changed in a certain amount of time. If it's an old article, that was written 20 years ago, it might be vastly different now, depending on what it is. So having these kinds of sources for your op-ed is going to make you seem more reliable as an author, because it'll show that you took the time to find sources that are written by experts. They're not just blogs or Wikipedia entries, but something that can be really useful, and people and your reader will see as useful information as well. Okay, so I'm gonna have to, let's see. under share screen. Let's see, advanced sharing options. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out how to get the sound to share. I thought there was a way under here that I could do that. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Okay, well, I'm going to start this video and I'm going to ask you to tell me if you can hear it or not, because I feel like I know I used to use these before at the beginning of the pandemic when we had to switch online, but I can't seem to remember how to do it. Let me see. Okay, so we'll start looking at this and tell me if you can hear it.
Hi there, my name is Chelsea.
Yeah, I can hear it.
You can hear it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
great.
Welcome to the Smart Student. This channel is all about helping online college students and their online college programs. Today, I'm going to be talking about what it means to be a credible source, why it matters, and then I've created this checklist that outlines those 5 different things you should look for, and I'm going to walk you through each one. But with no further ado, go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up and let's get started. So what is a credible source? Well, a credible source is a trustworthy source. You see, in our day and age, you can find just about anything online, which is wonderful for a lot of reasons. However, since you can find anything online, what this means is that just about anybody can post anything online, meaning that what you read online may not always be true and it might be manipulated in some way. So when you're researching for either academic or professional purposes, you want to make sure the sources that you're using are credible, meaning that they are unbiased and can be backed up by real facts. As tempting as it may be to use a source when it aligns with your research question or thesis statement perfectly, you always want to remain somewhat skeptical until you verify the source's credibility. Now, to make this easy, there are 5 things in particular that you want to look for. You want to check currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. This is known as what is called the CRAP test. No, I did not come up with this on my own. It was created years ago and it's used across the globe. What I have done for you though is created this checklist which demonstrates each of these 5 things to look for. This checklist can be found down in the description below. I suggest downloading it, saving it on your computer so you can reference it later. But the way the CRAP test works is that it's a list of qualifying questions to determine whether your source is credible or crap. Now, your source does not have to favor all of these questions necessarily, but it should favor more than not, otherwise it's crap. Alrighty, but let's go ahead and go through each one so that way I can explain them more in detail. By the way, if you're finding value in this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, comment, subscribe. It's your interaction with this channel that allows me to keep doing.
The sound just cut out for me.
That is specifically supposed to
Oh, there it is.
analyze the past. A rule of thumb is that a good source is one that was published within the last 10 years. This is especially important when you're researching experiments because when you research an older experiment, there's a good chance that those results may have been disproved by more recent studies. For example, let's say you're writing a paper about our solar system. Depending on what source you're looking at and when it was published, Pluto may or may not be considered a planet. I think we're still saying it's not a planet. So if you look here, I did a quick Google search and this article is talking about arguments for and against demoting Pluto. In other words, in February 1998, Pluto was not yet demoted. It was still a planet. If you look over at this article, however, it says Pluto is still not an official planet in our solar system. This article that was written on February 2nd, 2021, meaning that it's the most current, so Pluto right now is not a planet. As you can see, the timeliness of the information really does matter. To determine whether or not a source is current, here are a few qualifying questions you can ask. When was the information posted or published? Is the information current or out of date in regards to your topic? Are the links on this website functional? Faulty links are a classic sign of an outdated article or website, so it's something you want to be aware of. All right, cool. So moving on to the next one, which is relevancy. And relevancy is simply the importance of the information for your needs. In other words, you want to make sure that you're reading a source that's providing you with information that is compatible, applicable, and related to your topic. I'm sure we can all relate to finding the perfect article that fits your topic, but it's just off just a little bit. This is where you might be tempted to use that source, but maybe omit a few details. Never do this. You would be including false information in your papers, which you don't want a chance losing points for. For instance, let's say you're writing a research paper about the effects that dieting has on a woman's mental health. Your thesis statement is that dieting leads to lasting mental health complications like depression and eating disorders. Great. You find this wonderfully written article that fits that thesis statement exactly, and you want to use it. However, the case study was done on adolescent girls, not women. That article would not be relevant to your topic. Close, but go fish. So when you're checking to make sure that an article is relevant, here are a few qualifying questions you can ask yourself. Who is the intended audience? Does the information that's being presented relate to your topic? Is the information at an appropriate level for your topic, meaning it's not too elementary nor too advanced for your needs? Have you looked at a variety of other sources before selecting this one? And does the information back up your intended research? All of those questions combined will give you a good feel for how applicable the information in that source will be for you and your needs. Next, you have authority, which is the author's credibility to be writing about the topic. In other words, how qualified are they to be saying what they're saying, to be presenting this information? Some of the most common things you can look for are the author's credentials or their affiliation. Are they writing from an official government website or a school website, or is it their own personal blog? For example, let's say you're writing a research paper on nutrition. Are you getting your information from someone's personal blog where much of their articles are based off personal experience and personal opinion? Or are you using an official established website, such as a government website, where their articles are going to be written by specialists who are qualified to talk about things like nutrition and the health benefits of different food varieties and so on and so forth? Some questions you can ask yourself here is, who is the author? Are there any credentials or affiliations listed for that author? If yes, what are those credentials and affiliations? How is the author qualified to talk about this topic? Does the URL reveal anything about the source? For instance, some common credible domains will use things like .edu for education, .gov for government, .org for an organization. Things like .com and .net don't necessarily mean that the source isn't credible. Those are just common domains that anyone can go create a domain or a website under. So it's important to be aware of that. But moving on to the fourth thing, which is checking for the accuracy of the information. In other words, is what they're saying actually correct? Can it be backed up by real facts? As a rule of thumb, when you're checking for accuracy, you want to be aware of vague phrases. For example, if someone says recent studies show, but there's no recent study to show what they're saying, that's a huge red flag. If they say many people believe, you should ask yourself, who are these many people that believe this? My favorite is when a source uses an authority figure statement to gain credibility. This is when they'll stamp the good old-fashioned doctor recommended somewhere in their article to try and sound legitimate. So if you see something like that, if you see something vague, you always want to trail that down to find the sources that they're referring to that back up their claim. Some additional questions you can ask yourself here are, Where does this information come from? Is the information supported by real evidence? Has this information been reviewed by anyone else? Can I verify this same information in another source? Does the language or tone seem biased and free of emotion? Are there any spelling or grammar errors? All right, we're almost there. We're to the fifth element in the CRAP test, which is purpose. And purpose is simply, why does this information exist? Here, you want to be real careful about bias. So let's say you're reading an article. Does it come from a medical company who's quasi trying to promote their product? Or is it written from a qualified organization like the World Health Organization, WebMD, the Mayo Clinic, where their purpose is mainly just to get facts out to the general public? Now, something to be aware of is that just because it's a qualified source doesn't mean that the information they're presenting won't be biased. It's okay if it is. It's just really important that you're aware of it if it is biased. It's really important to know the difference between a biased fact versus a biased opinion that's stated as a fact. By the way, it's completely fine to research topics from different viewpoints on purpose. You just want to be aware that the information you're using might be a little skewed or manipulated to fit that source's needs. So some questions you can ask here. Again, what is the purpose of this information? Does the author make their intentions or purpose clear? Is the information fact, opinion, propaganda? Does the viewpoint appear objective and impartial? Can you spot any biases, either personal, political, ideological, cultural? The list goes on and on. Again, you're just inquiring to see why the person wrote this information, because that's going to help you determine how credible it is for you and your needs. But in conclusion, you should always be a little skeptical when doing research, especially research that's done online. This is not about being difficult, it's about being smart. And again, if you want to be super smart, don't forget to download that checklist and save it to your computer so you can reference it whenever you want. Lastly, if that checklist seemed like a lot of information to cover and go through, please know that it's just there to kind of guide you so you get a feel of the credibility of the source. Again, if your source doesn't favor more than it does favor on that checklist, there's a good chance that it's not a credible source and you should move on to one that is. But anyways, friends, if you're still here right now, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to come join the Smart Student Facebook group. I would love to have you there. You can find that link down in the description below. But as always, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, share it with someone else who could use it, and of course, subscribe to this channel for more videos every week. Thank you.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so I'm glad that she mentioned the idea that the checklist itself looks like a lot. And for the purpose of an assignment, the CRAP tested source evaluation that you'll be doing for Thursday, for the purpose of that, I am going to want you to address as many questions as you can on that list. But in the future, going forward, as you're looking at sources, a lot of this stuff will just sort of come naturally. You can have that list near you, so you can be thinking about it as you're trying to figure out which sources are the best ones for you to use for your research. What I would like for you to do right now, because first of all, if you want to see the list, the CRAP test list, it's here at the bottom of the announcement. So you should go ahead and open that if you would like. I'm gonna open it again and hold on. And I'm gonna post it on here, but if you'd like to be able to see it, on your own computer, then you can go ahead and open it. Let's see. How's everybody doing?
Good.
All right.
Good. Thanks again for everybody for being here. I appreciate it. Okay, let's see. All right. So here is the checklist. What I'd like you to do now that you have the checklist, or you can see it when I put it back up on the screen, I'd like you to go to this article. Transgender college students face enormous mental health disparities. Now, the link brings you to an external website, and it shouldn't take very long for you to read. So go ahead and take a minute and read this article. Xavier, are you in a spot where you can read this?
Yeah, I'm reading it right now.
Okay, great, great. I just wanted to make sure you weren't trying to read it. You're not still driving, are you?
No, no. I just been reading it right now.
Okay, great.
I'm gonna just send my thing in too after this. After like we're done all together, I'm gonna send that the site thing.
Okay. Let me know when you're finished reading it, everyone. When you're done, if you could put a little thumbs up in your screen so I can see that you're finished. Just go to the little toolbar. Great, David, thank you. And you may have to go under where it says more, and there's like the 3 dots. Did I lose Xavier? Patrick, have you finished reading it?
Got like 2 paragraphs left.
Okay. Lost you there for a second, Xavier. I'm glad you came back. Xavier, are you finished reading? You're on mute right now, so.
Oh yeah, I'm finished reading.
Okay, great. You almost there, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, great. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about, as we look over this list, is currency. Take a look back at the article and what is the timeliness of this information? So when was it posted or published?
Uh, 2019.
Okay, so that's not that long ago, right? That's what, 3 years ago? I had to do a little math in my head there for a second. So it's 3 years ago. Does it look like it's been revised or updated? Sometimes you can find that information at the bottom. It looks like it was originally published elsewhere. Let's see if it was revised or updated. A lot of times you can find that information at the bottom of a website, if it's been revised or updated.
I don't see nothing that says it's revised or updated.
Yeah, no, neither do I. So, I mean, but it was published fairly recently. So if I were writing about the need for transgender kids to have more support in a college setting, does it seem like this source would be current enough for me to use?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a problem right now. I mean, the article itself would be relevant whether it was wrote a couple years back or not.
True. Good point. Good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. What about the links in the article? Do those work?
I think it's loading. Yeah, it works. At least one of them does.
Okay, good. Other folks, are you trying some of these links?
Yeah, I tried the first one and it worked.
Okay.
I'm,
So
I
that's
tried a few of them and they're working.
great, great. I mean, that's a good sign of a decent article. If there's no broken links. I mean, obviously, a person could post something on a website, or an organization could post something, and whoever they link to could have taken down the information. But it would make you wonder, right? Like, is it what's the reason that information's not there anymore? Is it just that the person has decided to take down that particular website, or was there something wrong with the information that they posted? So you would want to think about that, and if there was a way you could find out, that would be great, but I'm not sure you would necessarily know one way or the other. What about relevance? So does this particular, when I say that I'm talking about the idea that schools should be more supportive of transgender students, does this article seem relevant to you?
Yeah.
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 Okay. For this article, who seems to be the intended audience?
I think anyone really that's in college.
Anyone in college? Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Okay,
Or-
all right,
or might go to college.
okay, okay. Did it feel like it was written at an appropriate level? Did it seem too easy to read or too difficult to read?
No,
I have too many problems, but it wasn't like little kid level.
Okay, okay. Um, in this case, no, I have not looked at a variety of other sources about this topic before selecting this one. And it does back up what I'm intending to write about, right? Like that, you know, that need. So if I were to use writing that paper, this essay would be okay. This article would be so far. What about authority? Who is, can you see who wrote this essay, wrote this article?
it's the Boston University of Public Health, but I don't know if it says I'm looking for the author, the actual, it's at the bottom. Give me a second. Jessica Colarossi, I don't know. Anyway, she works at the Boston University for Public Health, so I'd assume it's probably a pretty good source.
Sure, yeah. And if you click on that, you can see, for those of you who haven't done that, if you click on her name, you should be able to see her bio. It's not loading, hold on. Oh, it's not, it's sending.
Send me to her email.
Yeah. We don't need to contact this person. But one thing that you can always do is, especially when you're starting to work on bigger essays in Comp 2, one thing that you can always do is Google the person, Google the author. Because especially, you know, somebody who's writing articles for organizations may have several out. But there's also another place where we could look for more information about her. Do you have any thoughts on where that would be? It's in this article and I'm sort of showing it to you. At the top of the screen there.
I don't know. I'm in another one right
Do you see it,
now.
Dave?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So if you go to where it was originally published, you can then find, you should be able to find more information about this author. So this is where it was originally posted. And we go down to the bottom here. Oh gosh, it doesn't have her name here. Hold on. Was it at the top instead?
Yeah, it's at the top. If you click on it, it actually tells you about her instead of trying to get you to email her.
Okay, there we go. So there we are. We can see Jessica Colarossi. She's a science writer for The Brink. And incidentally, graduated with a BS in journalism from Emerson College, which is where I went. I didn't graduate just in 2016. I graduated from Emerson College a long, long time ago. It's in Massachusetts. Anyway, I think that's kind of cool because when I chose this, I didn't know that. Anyway, so we know a little bit about her, right? She's a young writer. She graduated in 2016, so she hasn't been out of school super long, but she's been out for a while. So we know that she has, you know, some experience, right? We know that she's, she wrote over 30 stories for Think Progress in Washington. She worked at the Shorenson Center on Media, Politics, and Public Policy at the Harvard Kennedy School, where she contributed to Journalists Resource. So she's young, but she has a lot of credentials here in terms of journalism and her interest in policy. Hi, Riley.
I'm glad you could finally show up, Riley.
Thanks for joining us.
was talking and I forgot, and then my phone was gonna die, so I'm just, zooming in my car, literally, like, because you're like on a Zoom meeting.
Okay, well, be careful if you're are you driving right now?
No, I'm sitting in the parking lot waiting till 3 so I can go to my appointment for Goodyear.
Oh, okay, good. Xavier was driving earlier. It made me nervous, so I'm glad that you're not actually driving. And
No,
so,
I haven't yet.
what was that?
I haven't mastered the skill of talking and like on the phone and driving yet because I'm too ADD.
Yeah, well, it's better for you not to anyway. So,
Also illegal, so probably not something you want to master.
Okay. So this is Riley, this is being recorded anyway. So like any part of it that you missed, you can go back and watch the video later. So you can catch up on where we are. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So so we were just talking about authority in this article that we read. Does the URL reveal anything about the source? So let's look at the URL. I have all this, the thing I don't like about sharing my screen is that it gets in the way of a lot of things. So yeah, what does it tell? What does the URL tell you about the source?
It's a .edu,
It's a .edu. What does that mean?
an educational website.
Right, educational website. And if we go back up further, we can see that in fact, it's Boston University School of Public Health. Now, Emerson College is actually in Boston. So
Bluetooth ready for connection.
Okay, so let's see. All right, so we know it's an EDU. We looked at the author's qualifications. She doesn't necessarily seem to have a strong background necessarily in writing about transgender rights or transgender mental health, but she seems to have some background in writing. So she's probably okay. There might be an expert out there who would be better qualified to talk about this issue, but still it's published on an EDU website. She does have some decent credentials. What about accuracy? Where does the information come from? And is it supported by evidence? We were looking at some of those links before. So she seems to be trying to indicate where she got some of this information, right? And those links in this article are helpful in terms, you guys won't be using links when you write your op-eds, but still when you're looking at your own, and you're looking at the studies and stuff. So like in a first of its kind study published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine, you click on that link, right? The American Journal of Preventive Medicine is a good, right? It's a good source, right? And we can see that it's, I'll go ahead and accept the cookies. I wish sometimes people would ask me if I would accept cookies and they were like chocolate chip cookies, because I would accept those all day long. Anyway, let's see. So we have information here and we don't need to read this right now, but obviously this is a credible source. It gives information about the study, and that information is really helpful for us as people who, for me, if I'm going to write this article. And then we have some of these people who are listed in the article. Sarah Ketchen-Lipson, Julia Raifman, I think is mentioned in the article as well. So we can see that this is, pretty well, let's see if this is going to bring me back to my mailbox. Hopefully not. The lead author. So sometimes the reason that I'm showing you this and we're going through all these links is sometimes you really do have to dig, right? And it may be that there are so many links and you just have to click on as many of them as you can, as you have time for, just to be sure that you're dealing with somebody who knows what they're talking about. And in this case, Health Law policy and management. She has a PhD. She's an assistant professor. It seems like this is somebody who's the lead author on this study. So this is somebody that we can trust. But what do we also notice about this person? Where does this information pop up?
Are you asking about the website?
Yeah,
The Back to BU one.
yeah, back to BU. So we've talked about this being Boston University. And this pops up on their website, Boston University's website. So the people the lead author of this particular study that it's being referenced in the article is somebody who works at Boston University. So that's actually pretty important, right? Why do you think it's important to be aware of that? So, but Boston University is publishing an article written by somebody at Boston University. Why is that important to be aware of?
Because they need credit for their work.
Well, they do, yes, absolutely. But there's more to it than that. Why would Boston University publish this?
I think it's important because they could maybe be like one-sided.
Xavier, that's exactly right. You have to be a bit concerned about whether or not there's bias there, right? Because even though we read the article and it definitely sounds like it's right on and it seems like it's okay, and it probably is, but it's still that thing that that when we watch the video, the girl in the video was talking about bias, and it's not necessarily a problem if there's bias, right? But we might have some here because we have somebody who works at the school and it makes the school look good, right? If she's publishing this great article and they can put it on their website and people from the web are checking it out, then that is a good thing for Boston University, right? Like that makes them look really good. Of course, as the video mentioned, the woman in the video mentioned, it doesn't mean that that's bad, but you just want to be aware of it. Because in a case where it might seem like they're not giving you the correct information or the information itself is biased, then you'd have to be careful, right? So let's go back to the original page for the article. Okay. When you read this, does it seem like this information is did you see any like spelling, grammar, or typographical errors in this article?
I don't believe so.
I didn't, but I definitely could have looked right over it.
Well, sometimes that's easy even for me to miss stuff like that. And we can verify the information in another source, right? Because we know that there was a study and we were able to find that study. So that's helpful. And does it seem like the language or the tone, does it seem biased at all? Does it seem like it's overly emotional in its tone?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, great. So what do you think is the purpose of this article? So we're looking down here at the bottom of this list for purpose. What is the purpose?
It's really to bring awareness mostly.
That's what I was gonna say.
Mostly awareness. Okay, okay.
Maybe to try to persuade people to assist in this matter.
Okay. And so we talked about the potential for bias in terms of who published the article, but does it seem to be working with any kind of agenda? Like, is it, since it's not really arguing a point, do you get the sense that they're trying to, I don't know, say something in particular about this issue that maybe isn't true or maybe is problematic. I'm not sure if that question made sense. um, okay, so let's go back to today's class information. So do you feel like, oh, Riley, by the way, if you're looking for that list, the link to it is at the bottom of today's announcement. Can you see that right there, the little link?
The crap test.
Yeah. So do you have questions about how this works in terms of evaluating a source? I think what I'm gonna do is have you all wait and do your own crap tested source evaluation, start working on it during class on Thursday, instead of having it due right up first thing on Thursday, because I do want you to have a chance to look at each other's article choices and talk to each other using the crap test about whether or not they all look okay, you know? Because remember, technically you were all supposed to have an article ready for today, and it seems like not everybody did, and that's okay. So if you could get that by tonight and post that in the forum, or by tomorrow at the latest, and then when we come into class on Thursday, you'll easily be able to share those essays with your peers, and you can look at that list of points on the crap evaluation and talk about it a little bit. And then you're going to find another article on the same topic, but not the one that you're sharing on Thursday. And that's what you're going to do your crap test evaluation on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great. One of the things that I want you to keep in mind is that this final paper is this MLA paper is going to be 5 pages long, and you're going to need at least 3 strong sources. I know you guys are used to writing much shorter papers, but it's good for you to get used to writing longer things. It's going to be worse in Comp 2, I promise you. It's longer. And you will use the MLA style of citation. Okay, so you want to find a topic. I don't want you to worry about that final version just yet, but I want you to be thinking about that. Are you choosing a topic that will allow you to write 5 pages? Some topics aren't like that, right? Some topics you can only write 2 pages about, or sometimes they're so broad that a person could write an entire book about it. And so you don't want to have something that's too broad that you kind of can't control. And you also don't want to have something that's too narrow and that you won't get enough information about. You won't be able to write those 5 pages. So just be thinking about that. You're not writing this paper yet. You're not actually writing the essay yet. So don't worry too much about that, but I do want you to be thinking about that as you're preparing yourself to write the essay. Again, we talked a little bit about this before, but I want you to choose a topic that aligns with your values, something that you're passionate about, and don't just choose something because you know you have to choose it. You have to choose something and you just choose anything. I've definitely had situations. I remember a couple of semesters ago talking to someone over the phone, one of my students, and we were talking about a topic he'd chosen for a paper, and I said, "What made you choose that?" And I don't even remember what it was. And he was like, "Oh, I don't know. I just looked up a topic and decided to work with that." But he had no real interest in it. And so he was really struggling with the assignment. And I think a key part of that was not having an interest in the topic that he chose. So really thinking about what matters to you. And it's one of the reasons we did that reflection, right? Like, what are your values? How do you see the world? How do you view people of other cultures? What means something to you? So be really introspective as you're trying to figure out what that topic might be. And so this is actually going to give you a little extra time to even think about what your topic is going to be, because you will need to have, at least one source for class. But make sure you bring that with you, ready to talk about your topic and talk about at least one source. Okay. And we're gonna start getting really digging into the whole act of writing this argument soon. But for right now, I just want you to find that one source and post it in the forum to make it easier to share with your peers on Thursday. All right, everyone. Does anybody have any questions for me?
No, probably not anyways.
Did we leave? We lost her. We lost Riley. Okay, well, Patrick, Xavier, do either of you have questions?
No, and I think Riley had that appointment, that tire appointment.
Oh, that's right. That's right. She did. Thank you for reminding me.
right. Remember.
That's
But
right.
no, I don't have no questions, and I just sent my article and the then so that you got that too.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. Patrick, do you have any questions for me?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Okay. Well, I really appreciate you guys pivoting to online today. I know it wasn't super convenient. But I hope to see everybody. I'm still not feeling great, but hopefully I'll be back on Thursday. I'll try to let you know, if I'm really still not doing great tomorrow, then I'll let you guys know by tomorrow night so that you're not finding out at the last minute. Okay, sound good?
Sounds good.
All right,
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
you too.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.